And welcome to FCA Friday, and today we are going to be doing something I'm calling discounting fear. As you can see behind me, even though it's nowhere close to Halloween, some of you will be terrified to see a porcelain doll behind me. Now, I love porcelain dolls. Did you need a trigger warning that there was going to be a porcelain doll in this? You should have seen the thumbnail. But this is one of my favorite porcelain dolls. I love all of my porcelain dolls, but this one I think reminds me of me because of the hair and the eyes, especially when my hair was a lot more blonde. But she's very pretty, and I love her pretty dress. Some people are very afraid of porcelain dolls, and she's just going to be chilling back here, doing her thing, which is going to scare some of you that I said that. But I don't understand the full-out fear of porcelain dolls. Because I'm not afraid of, obviously anybody can be afraid of demonic or paranormal things because you can't really stop those things, you can't control them, they go outside of the realm of physics and logic. But I think so does the fear of porcelain dolls. Some people just generally have a fear of eyes, but I find that it's not really a fear of eyes because these same people have pictures in their phone that stare at them. They have posters on their walls. They have printouts of Instagrams everywhere. All of those things have eyes. So I don't really understand how her eyes or another porcelain doll's eyes or a marionette or a puppet or anything, how those eyes are any different. I understand the illusion of it's watching me, but you're watching it and your eyes are moving. So there you go. That kind of stuff does not creep me out. I understand there's a creepy factor of something just staring at you emptily. But that's just it. They're empty. Porcelain dolls are hollow. In fact, most of the time, it's only their exposed parts, their hands, arms, sometimes their feet and calves from their knees down, and their heads and neck are the only actual porcelain parts of them. The rest of them are usually soft-bodied because one, porcelain is expensive and it's pretty substantial. And so to have a solid porcelain piece, there you go. And people aren't afraid of Barbie dolls and baby dolls like they are of porcelain dolls. Even though porcelain dolls don't have built-in joints and mobility things, some baby dolls have the Ventronics to crawl and move and talk. So when they crawl and move and talk, I can understand that if it's in the middle of the night and one suddenly goes off because it moves or because there was an insect on it or whatever, then that in and of itself is scary. But to have just a porcelain doll just standing there or sitting there, I don't understand how that scares people. They're like, it's really creepy. I once was watching a haunted house walkthrough, and all it was like old baby doll faces all over the wall, and you just walked through, and it was just a whole bunch of old toys. And some people were like, well, when something, especially if it's an old and, forgotten, not taken care of doll, they're especially creepy. And I think that anything that's dilapidated or old and broken and left to rot is creepy. Just old buildings are creepy. Anything that's not cleaned and taken care of and maintained is creepy. Because there's an absence of life. But with porcelain dolls specifically is where a lot of people have problems. A lot of people are afraid of marionette puppets, which I guess they have mechanics to move, sort of. And some people are afraid of porcelain dolls because of the movie Chucky. They were like, oh, I saw Chucky as a child and it was scary. I saw Chucky as a child too, and everybody interprets things differently. However, I chose to take the logical route with that because I understand why people are afraid of clowns, because there was a real life case of John Gacy, I think it was Gacy, who was the killer clown. And a clown is a real person who could have real psychological disorders and could physically harm you / kill you. But a porcelain doll does not have the physics and mechanics. And people were like, well, in Chucky there was, first off, how many serial killers are there in society in general throughout the years? Not that many. To kill another person is a disorder, or it's in a passion of crime, or crime of passion, or heat of the moment, your life versus their life. But most of the time, serial killing is like down there. And with Chucky, my problem is this: there's not that many serial killers. Over the course of history, and I know there's a lot of shows about serial killers, but if every CSI in Criminal Minds was true about the number of victims that each person has in every episode, there would be no people left on the planet. Okay? They've exceeded the number of people on the planet if every one of those shows and every one of their victims was even remotely true. Serial killing is rare. I know it's like, well, people are killed every day. They're usually in actual criminal related instances, which is also a smaller part of the population worldwide. There's crimes of passion. There are heat of the moment, me versus them kind of situations, but those are all more like one-time murders, and some are premeditated versus meditated. But serial killing, very, very small number of people. And I guarantee you that the number of people who know voodoo to transfer their selves or souls into a doll or to possess another object is microscopic halved. And to be able to do that correctly, I don't do anything, but anytime people mess with the dark arts, things go wrong, there's exchange systems, it's a mess. Look at the Shadow Man from Princess and the Frog, if we're going to be going with movies. He was an expert on those things, and he still effed it up. So what makes you think that the casual serial killer would know how to properly transfer themselves into a doll? And think of all the dolls that are made. There's nowhere near that many serial killers that they infest every doll. And I know some people believe in haunted dolls, or there are all these urban legends, but there's a difference between urban legends and facts, because there are urban legends that you've never heard of. For instance, there's an urban legend in, I think it's China or Japan, I can't remember, I apologize, where there's a demonic, usually portrayed as a girl, who hides between furniture spaces. I just recently heard about that and never had to worry ever in my life, nor did anybody else in my life, about a demonic girl between the bookshelves. So that's why urban legends are a thing. They're very cultural and very specific to that area and to that culture. They don't really affect anybody who doesn't know about them, because they're not based on fact. And yeah, it's fun to be scared of things and not be logical, but some people are fully scared. They're afraid to go in my bedroom. Because I have a lot of porcelain dolls, and almost all of them face my bed, which is my main piece of furniture in my room, and it freaks some people out, and I don't understand why, because they just do that. Just stand there, don't do anything. And they've done that for years. And for me personally, because I love my porcelain dolls and I try and keep them dusted, I like to look at them and I comment on how I like their pretty dresses and things. My porcelain dolls like me. I've had them for a very long time. My porcelain dolls like me. So if somebody were to try to do something to me, I can only think that my porcelain dolls are going to come to my defense. So it's just like with anything. If you dislike something, it's going to dislike you, and that's where you have problems. So you're not doing yourself any favors. And the last thing is that I don't understand is look at the size of a doll. This is the average size of a porcelain doll. About a foot, a little over a foot long. And I am 4'11", so just let me stand up here. So I don't understand where your fear is coming from, because even if a doll is possessed by a serial killer or something like that, if it's coming after you, just pick it up. The overacting, of course, 80s, 90s movie, killer thriller, I don't understand, because if a doll is coming after you, pick it up. Break it. It's a hollow porcelain doll. It's very thin. I said that they're somewhat substantial, porcelain itself is, but the dolls are not. That's why they're expensive, because they're very delicately made. And they're in fixed positions. Barbie dolls, they have the ability, some of them are stuck in a position, but a lot of them have flexible arms and can actually do things. These dolls are just stuck. They just do not have the ability and mechanics and joints to move around and actually do anything, rather than, if they were to come to life, were to run up and headbutt you. Or if they're not made with teeth. So even if their mouth's open, there's nothing there. And if you think it's trying to bite you or something, it has hair, hold it away from you. Like I said, you can break it, and it's not, even if the unrealistic, never going to happen possession of a doll occurs, you can stop it. The only way a porcelain doll is dangerous is if it fell from a very specific height versus your height at a speed and hit you in just the right spot in your head. And yeah, you could get glass in your eyes, but if you get shards of porcelain glass in your eye, because of the nature of porcelain, it doesn't shatter fully. There's not 1,000 little pieces like regular glass. So the shards in your eye, the pieces in your eye, one, are going to be pretty big, and it's your eye. You can get help most of the time. Where are you in your life where you're both with a porcelain doll and super far away from an emergency room of some kind to get help for yourself? I'm just saying that I don't understand it. And if you're afraid of porcelain dolls, you were creeped out and probably didn't watch this whole video. But I don't understand it, and I think that fear is just, I think it's an illegitimate fear. I know that there's an actual psychological disorder, but isn't that a thing? That's a disorder. It's not common. It's not something you should be afraid of. Within reason. And people who won't go anywhere near shops, they have extreme fears and extreme anxieties, and those things are all treatable. And like I said, I've had porcelain dolls all of my life. My grandparents did, and that's all they do, is just chill wherever you put them. And if there's somebody playing a joke on you who's slowly moving your dolls around, and some people will swear up and down that a doll moved or turned around by itself, maybe it's not the doll, maybe it's an actual ghost in your house rather than the doll itself. That still sounds like a prank to me. So that's my FCA Friday, just insulting a good majority of the population.